Do you want to try an experiment with me? I'm going to see how many ways I can swink to make a background. Hi everyone, it's Ardith, and you're probably wondering what swinking is. Swinking is a word my friend Laurel made up recently in one of her videos, and it just means to swipe ink onto paper. Whatever you call it, it's one of the easiest ways ever to make a background for your cards. I left it all in this video, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so you can see what worked well and what didn't. Laurel's also got a video, and we've got tons of examples, so let's get started. We're moving fast and focusing mostly on the backgrounds and how easy it is to use this direct-to-paper method. You can swink with any ink pads, but I thought that using my Catherine Pooler minis would give me the ability to use more colors on one background. I'm just practicing the basic technique here, noticing the different effects I get if I use different amounts of pressure, from streaky and wispy to full coverage. The drier your ink pad is, the wispier your swinking will be. If you want full coverage stripes, a juicier, recently filled ink pad will be your best bet. Okay, background 1. Let's start simple. 2 colors, 2 perpendicular stripes. I used Fiesta Blue and Flirty Fuchsia here, with plenty of white space to create a clean and simple design. And those 2 stripes looked like the start of a plaid, so that seemed to be the next logical step. Here's background 2. A diagonal plaid created with 3 colors, Tiki Torch, Coral Cabana, and Lime Ricky. I freehanded it, and the stripes are not particularly straight, but in the end it looks pretty good. It's a nice summery color combination. Background 3. I called this one Over the Edge. The idea was to swink over the edge of a stencil. I guess this one's really more like a mask. I used Fiesta Blue to try and create a sky, but I didn't really love the streaks I was getting, especially when you think about how nice it looks when you do regular ink blending with a blending tool or brush, so I'm calling this one a fail, and I didn't make a card with it. Background 4. Another round with a stencil, this time swinking right through the openings on a diagonal in rainbow order. The result is colorful, and of course I still had all that ink on the stencil, so I spritzed it with water, pressed it onto a white panel, and got a 2-for-1 with this one, the positive and negative impression of that stencil. So let's call this one background 5. Background 6, another rainbow card. This time I put down short swinks along one edge in rainbow order, overlapping each swink with the one before to create even more color tones. As I was cleaning the media mat, I wondered if I could swink onto that and pick it up with my cardstock panel to create background 7. Kind of a smoosh and swink combo. I put the colors down, spritzed them with clean clear water, and got a beautiful soft watercolored looking background that was the same but different as background 6. Background 8. Can you swink on a background stamp? I started by getting the stamp a little wet with a baby wipe to make it easier to get a swinking motion going, and then by the time I had inked it all up, I was concerned that the ink might have dried on the stamp, so I gave it a spritz of water. I'm not sure this is the most successful example of swinking, but it still made a pretty card. Background 9. A variation on the over the edge technique, this time over some post-it tape. The idea was to get a wispy, faded out look moving away from the center of the card in both directions. This is the color combination I liked when I was practicing. They blend well together, and when I move the tape and flip the panel, I'll end up with the blue and pink on opposite ends. By using different colors, you could create a gorgeous sunset horizon on the water scene with this technique. I think it's artsy and fun. Background 10 is another 2-for-1, so I guess it's background 11 as well. I cut a circle from a piece of cardstock, and I used the negative mask first to swink the ink into the center. I knew I had 6 colors, so I just tried to loosely measure in my mind how much of each I needed to put down. Then I used the circle as a mask, and I swinked in the opposite direction from the center outwards. Again, I went in rainbow order, and I tried to get my placement about right. And then I went around again to bring the swinking closer to the edge of the panel and to get some more blending going on between the colors. Background 12 is white pigment ink on black cardstock. This is an oldie but goodie technique that gives the look of a chalkboard, and it shows that you can use your larger ink pads for swinking too. Background 13 uses gold pigment ink on white cardstock. I'm not sure why I used a larger panel, but man, this gold ink is so pretty and shimmery. It gives such an elegant look, and I love it with the white showing through. At this point I realized I was going to cut it down to a square, so I added some more ink. Next, I tried to make background 14 with the same gold ink on black cardstock. I found it much harder to get any of the ink to transfer. I think this black cardstock is rougher than the white cardstock, and in the end, although it looked kind of neat, I didn't like it enough to create a card with it. Background 15 and 16. Again, I tried the same technique on white and black cardstock, this time with embossing ink. Because it's clear, I found it harder to tell how much coverage I was getting and whether it was wispy or solid. But when I poured translucent sparkly gold powder over it and heated it with my heat gun until it was melted, I could see that it was just beautifully subtle on the white cardstock. I thought I used the same pressure on the black cardstock, or maybe again it was the fact that the black is rougher, but I didn't get that same subtle streaky look. I got solid embossing, almost like glitter cardstock. I didn't think it was worthy of becoming a background, but I die cut it and I used it as part of the card I made with the white panel. Is swinking the easiest background technique ever? I think it might be. It took me just over half an hour to make 16 backgrounds. Let's do the math. 13 cards out of 16 backgrounds. Whatever the percentage is, I would call this experiment a success. Laurel and I want to challenge you to see how many ways you can swink. Post your creations with the hashtag swinking challenge so that we can see it and share it. Now it's time to head to Laurel's channel to see more ways to swink. Then it's your turn. We can't wait to see what you create. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.